Imagine waking up a millionaire. Not in 20 years. Not through hard work. Literally overnight. You're now worth $1 million, maybe more. But you can't buy bread. A loaf of bread costs more than you make in a month. This wasn't an imaginary scenario. It was reality in Zimbabwe. This is the story of a currency that died and took a nation with it. Most economic disasters are abstract, numbers on a screen. But Zimbabwe's hyperinflation wasn't abstract. It was a real country, real people, and real suffering. It's what happens when a government completely loses control of money. When inflation goes from 100% per year to 231 million%. When a single chicken costs more than the yearly salary of a teacher. When the toilet paper you use is worth more than the money in your wallet. This isn't theory. This is what actually happened. And it could happen anywhere. Even where you live. Zimbabwe was once prosperous. It was called the Jewel of Africa. The nation had rich farmland, educated workers, and a stable currency. In the 1980s, Zimbabwe was considered an economic success. But then, decisions were made. President Robert Mugabe decided to seize white-owned farms and give them to his political allies. These allies had no farming experience. Production crashed. The currency, the Zimbabwe dollar, was backed by farming exports. With no exports, the currency became worthless. But instead of admitting the problem, the government did what desperate governments do. They printed money. More money equals inflation. More inflation means the government prints even more money. It's a spiral. And once you enter it, there's almost no way out. By the year 2000, inflation was at 50% per year. You'd lose half your purchasing power annually. Most people in the world would panic. Zimbabwe's government? They just printed more money. By 2005, a loaf of bread cost 200,000 Zimbabwe dollars. By 2007, it cost 200 million Zimbabwe dollars. By 2008, it cost billions. The currency wasn't just inflating. It was hyperinflating. Think about that. A single loaf of bread cost billions of dollars. The government's response? They removed zeros from the currency. They said, new currency, the old currency is obsolete. One new dollar equals 1 billion old dollars. It sounds brilliant, right? Just remove the zeros. But it changed nothing because the fundamental problem wasn't solved. The government was still printing money. Inflation continued, so they removed zeros again and again and again. By 2009, the currency had been redenominated 4 times, and it was still worthless. Here's where this story stops being abstract and becomes horrific. Teachers making $100 million a month couldn't afford food. Not because they were poor, but because nothing was worth anything. A taxi ride cost the equivalent of your yearly salary. A chicken at the market cost more than a month of wages. People abandoned their jobs because it was faster to beg on the street. A doctor made less than a street beggar. The currency became so worthless that people stopped using it. Zimbabweans started using the American dollar informally and then officially. But there weren't enough dollars in the country. So they started using the South African rand, the Botswana pula, anything but Zimbabwe dollars. The currency completely collapsed. By 2009, Zimbabwe's economy was in freefall. Unemployment reached 95%. Life expectancy dropped from 60 to just 37 years. Hospitals didn't have medicine, so people died from treatable diseases. Schools couldn't afford paper. Teachers taught without textbooks. Factories shut down because there were no raw materials. People were starving, not from a lack of food, but from a total economic collapse. The government tried to fix it by printing more money. They issued a 100 trillion Zimbabwe dollar note. $100 trillion for what you could buy with a few cents before hyperinflation. It was the most valuable piece of paper that could buy you. A single roll of toilet paper. That note is now worthless. You can buy it as a novelty for about $5. The irony? The toilet paper it could have bought was more valuable than the currency itself. The shocking part about Zimbabwe isn't that it happened. It's that Zimbabwe wasn't alone. Venezuela, Turkey, Argentina, Hungary after World War II, Germany in the 1920s. The same pattern has happened hundreds of times. A government prints money to solve problems. The problems get worse. The government prints more money. Inflation explodes. Suddenly, people are millionaires, but they're starving. And here's the terrifying part. Most people don't understand this pattern. They vote for politicians who promise to print money to solve problems. Infrastructure, print money. Unemployment, print money. Healthcare, print money. And every single time, it ends exactly like Zimbabwe. Millions become billions. Billions become trillions, and the currency becomes worthless. Zimbabwe's hyperinflation happened within living memory. People who lived through it are still alive today. The trauma is real, and the terrifying question is, could this happen in your country? If your government keeps printing money without restraint? Yes, it absolutely could. Currency is just an agreement. It's just a story. If people stop believing in the story, it becomes worthless overnight. Zimbabwe's experience should be a warning sign to the entire world. But most people ignore it. They think it can't happen here. Zimbabwe thought that too. If this terrified you as much as it should have, hit like, because the economic patterns that destroyed Zimbabwe are forming right now in other countries, and maybe even in yours. Subscribe so you understand economics before it destroys you. And comment, has your government been printing money? Do you see the early warning signs of hyperinflation? Thanks for watching.